the first question is, who do I like working with? Who do I enjoy working with the most? And that, how many people, just raise your hand, how many people like every one of their clients? Right? Do you know it's possible to like all of your clients? It's actually possible. And by having a specific targeted message to folks, this is something that can actually be done to folks. But we start by looking at the qualities of the folks that we do like. So basically what we're doing is sort of doing a little data mining in our own book of business. Who are people that we hate to work with? Again, since nobody had their hand up with that last question, my guess is that you can look at your own book of business and define the characteristics of the folks that you don't like to work with. What are the things that they have in common? So again, going back to our marketing fundamentals, we want our marketing to attract the folks that we want and repel the ones that we don't want. What is the size of the market that we're looking at? That's always going to be an important consideration in trying to define who your ideal clients are going to be, because number one, we have to have enough people to sustain our business, but we have to be able to reach them, first of all, and we have to be able to do it affordably, right? It doesn't matter if we have this great market niche defined if we can't affordably market to them. So in going and creating our avatar client, we are going to start with whatever we would do to define our ideal client. And there are basically going to be two types of information that we're going to look at. One is demographic information, and the other is psychographic information. Demographics have to do with the statistical data and is the stuff that most people, when they're looking at this sort of thing, start with and frequently end with in the inquiry. So it's going to include things like age, location, income, net worth, male, female, do they have kids, no kids, etc. Psychographic has to do with who these people are. So it's going to be focused with their attitudes, what they think about things, what's important to them, those kinds of things. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at our basic demographic stuff. And like I said, these are the things that are sort of the things that come to mind most generally when we're talking about demographic data. So gender, ethnicity, language, age. When we're talking about age groups, you usually want to keep your age groups narrowed. 15 years is usually the biggest that you want them to be, probably ideally 5 to 10. 5 to 10 years old in terms of doing that, because somebody who is 35-year-old has vastly different concerns on almost any topic that they might come to us for than somebody who is 50 years old or 20 years old, right? So, we got to think about how our marketing would change as well. So, for example, if we are targeting a group of people who are in their late 60s or 70s, believe it or not, telephone book advertising is not dead for those people. It's still an effective way of reaching folks in that age group. However, if we're talking about trying to reach a group of people who are 25, well, that's going to be probably a dead end if we're trying to reach those folks, because those folks we're going to find them on the internet and other places. So it's going to influence marketing decisions that we're going to have. And then we're going to have folks of varying income ranges, and this is probably intuitive to most people, but people with different income levels have different concerns, right? Somebody who's pulling down $500,000 a year has vastly different concerns in many legal situations than somebody who is making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. Okay, geography is another one. So are they in Georgia, the metro Atlanta area, Gwinnett County? You can even get down as specific as what neighborhood they're in. So if your ideal clients, for example, may live in the Sugarloaf complex there, or they may live someplace vastly different from that, but you can even get down to things of that neighborhood. Single, married, divorced, those sorts of things. It can also include things like industries that people are working in. So not necessarily the jobs that they're in, but just industries. So there may be attorneys that are working in, the food service industry, or those folks may have different needs than attorneys who say are working in, retail products, that sort of thing. Okay. Some advanced demographic stuff, education level. We can actually change our marketing based on what we anticipate the education level of our audience is going to be. However, there is a huge caveat to this, and that is never, ever, ever overestimate your target's ability to know and understand the language that we use as attorneys. Okay. Now you can use language usually you can use it to exclude folks from a marketing message by using a higher level of a higher level vocabulary than might be amenable to somebody who's got, say, an 8th grade education, as opposed to somebody who is a PhD in something. So